Hi everyone, and thanks for joining. Today I'm going to walk you through this vaccine, very easy Linux box available on Hack the Box platform. This is the third box from the so-called Tier 2. Don't forget to contemplate Starting Point series of machines. I'm already connected to Starting Point VPN network, and as usual, I'll proceed to spawn the target instance. Then follow along the walkthrough, focusing on hands-on task, and towards the end of the video, go over these task questions. This machine has tags, vulnerability assessment, databases, custom applications, protocols, source code analysis, Apache, PostgreSQL, FTP, PHP, Reconnaissance, password cracking, SUDO exploitation, SQL injection, remote code execution, clear text credentials, and anonymous guest access. While we are waiting to get the instance IP address here, let's go through this walkthrough introduction. Penetration testing is not simple. It requires lots of technical knowledge and the capability to think outside of the box. The walkthrough starts with nmap, and I'll first run ping. The machine is responsive to ping, and we see TTL63 as expected for Linux instance. Let's proceed to run nmap with switches SC/SV, so for that sudo is not necessary. Let's try first without it. And I'll here add switch -vv for very verbose to immediately see open ports listed. Then these details on these services we can get and review later. But for now, we see discovered open ports 22, 21, and 80. Great, we see details already available and scan completed. So 3 open ports, port 21 for FTP, we see anonymous FTP logging allowed, and there's a backup zip listed. Then port 22 for SSH. And then for port 80, HTTP, we see cookie flag, PHP /ID, HTTP only flag not set. And let's first proceed to try to connect to FTP service with user anonymous. Also, let's save this nmap and ping output into our notes file. And for a password, we can just click enter. And with that, we have logging successful. Let's see commands we have available here. Let's proceed with directory listing with dir. We see backup zip. Let's download it to our local attacker instance. And let's exit from FTP now. And there's the backup. Let's try to unzip it to see its contents. And we are now asked for password. We don't have password at the moment, but we can try with a couple of random ones. This walkthrough mentions this is not the way to go. We'll proceed to try to crack the password. And the tool we'll use for this task is John the Ripper and its zip2John module. First, we will verify if we have John already available on our attacker machine. It comes pre-installed with Parrot OS and Kali Linux. However, if you don't have it pre-installed, you can install it with sudo apt install John. Let's see if my autocomplete recognizes it. John, it does. And here is the website for John the Ripper password cracker. And as mentioned in the walkthrough, in order to successfully crack the password, we'll have to convert the zip into the hash using the zip2John module that comes within John the Ripper. So more on zip2John you can see in John's GitHub. For example, here it's mentioned usage run zip2John on zip files as zip2John, then zip files. Output is written to standard output and run John the Ripper on the output generated by zip2John as John, then that output file. We'll try that out. We'll run zip2John, then backup zip and send it to hashes file. Then we'll check its contents and then we'll run John on this hashes file. And for the dictionary of passwords, we'll use ROQ word list. Next, we expect that password will be recognized from ROQ and that we will be able to unzip the backup zip with it. Then we'll proceed going through backup zip's contents. But for now, let's pause with the walkthrough and do this part until this section hands-on. So now first, let's run zip2John. And let's verify if we have ROQ.txt word list already on our attacker machine and where. So let's run locate or where is ROQ.txt. Let's try with locate. And in my case, it's in user share word lists. User share word lists. So the same as in the walkthrough. I'll copy paste this command exactly as seen. Now let's run John show hashes. And we see here the password. Now let's run unzip once again. And now we see backup zips contents. Those would be index.php and style CSS. Now let's read index.php first. And here we notice username admin and this password, which seems hashed. And we'll proceed to try to identify hash type and crack it with hashcat. Let's run hash ID and then this string. This command provides a huge list of possible hashes, however we will go with MD5 first and try to crack it with hashcat. Let's save this hash in hash file. Let's check if I have hashcat available. Auto completion recognize it. Let's enter here. Let's run -- help. And the screenshot points us to run hashcat with switch -a0-m0, then hash and raw q word list. And let's remind ourselves what are switches -a and -m for. So we see -m for hash type and -a for attack mode. And let's see references below. So for hash modes, we had -m0, that's MD5. And we see here attack modes. We have to run 0, that's straight mode. And we here see some basic examples. This resembles ours. So let's proceed with hashcat -a0 -m0, then hash and raw word list. User share word list. Raw. And let's add --show. And the password will be QWERTY789. And let's as an option B instead hashcat try out CrackStation. So for this hash on CrackStation, if we do not define hash type, will it be recognized by default? It would be. Okay, good to know. And from our nmap output, we saw there were open ports 21, 22, and 80. Now let's navigate to port 80 and see if we can use these credentials over there. And let's provide it with username admin and password QWERTY789. Great, we are now logged in. We landed on dashboard PHP. And our WebLizer extensions recognize programming languages PHP used. The walkthrough mentions the dashboard has nothing special in it, however, it has a catalog which might be connected with the database. This is now the URL we can work with, and by checking the URL we can see that there is parameter search, which is responsible for searching through catalog, and we could test it to see if it's SQL injectable, but instead of doing it manually, like we did in one of the previous walkthroughs, we will now use a tool called SQLmap. SQLmap is an open source tool used in penetration testing to detect and exploit SQL injection flaws. SQLmap automates the process of detecting and exploiting SQL injection. SQL injection attacks can take control of databases that utilize SQL. I'll verify if I have it already installed on my machine, and then proceed to run -h for help to see available switches and options. I have it pre-installed. Let's highlight these switches -u for URL, -cookie, and -os shell prompt for an interactive operating system shell. And we'll proceed to provide it with URL and the cookie in order to find vulnerability. The reason why we have to provide a cookie is because of authentication. So this dashboard with the search field is visible only after authenticating with admin credentials. To grab the cookie, we can intercept any request in Burp Suite and get it from there. Also, we can use developer tools as seen in one of the previous walkthroughs, but here let's proceed according to the walkthrough and use a web browser extension cookie editor and get it from there. I already added it to my Firefox, so here in extensions, click on cookie editor, and let's grab this php-id cookie. Let's note it down. And let's now adjust this SQLmap command syntax. It currently takes 2 rows. We need it to be in 1 row. SQLmap -u will here use current target's IP address. Let's copy paste this whole URL. And adjust cookie. There will be some questions that the tool will ask you. You can respond with yes or no, or just by pressing enter for the default answer. We'll go down the default route until this part of the output mentioning the get parameter search is vulnerable. Do you want to keep testing the others, if any? So here we'll choose no. We expect the tool to confirm the target is vulnerable to SQL injection, which is everything we needed to know. We will then run SQL map once more, but here we'll then provide -os-shell flag, where we will be able to perform command injection. We expect to get OS shell terminal, but it is not very stable and interactive, and to make it much stable, we'll try to get the reverse shell by starting netcat listener on our local machine, and on target instance OS shell terminal run this bash reverse shell command wrapped in bash c. And we expect that that will do the trick and that will get the connection back. And let's pause with the walkthrough. For now, let's do everything hands-on until this section. And we see this question as expected. Do you want to keep testing the others compared to get parameter search, which is vulnerable? So here we'll choose no. And let's run SQL map once again, but with this OS shell switch now added. Great, we are dropped now in OS shell terminal. So we'll then proceed to run bash-c, then this bash reverse shell from pentestmonkey. Though we'll adjust the port to be 443, and here we'll put our attacker IP address. So bash c, and then this wrapped up, and adjust IP and port. I'll copy paste it from here. And adjust it from notes. And before I run it, I'll set up netcat local listener. For this one, sudo is not necessary. Let's keep it like this for now. Let's choose yes. And we have connection. Let's run who am I. And then we'll run this set of commands to make our shell fully interactive. Instead of this exact set of commands, I'll run commands as seen in on this web page from 101 Labs, how to stabilize Netcat shells. And here, task 3, I'll run these commands in this order. First, python-c import pty, pty spawn bin bash. Then second one will be export term equals xterm. Then press Ctrl Z key combination. And lastly, stty raw echo and foreground. I prepared these commands in my notes, so I'll just copy paste them to save time. The only thing changed here, it's 3 is added, as in the walkthrough used Python 3. It looks like we lost our connection in the meantime, so let's rerun it. Let's try to be faster this time. And from here, I'll just type enter. Enter again. Okay, who am I? And we have fully interactive shell. Now the user flag could be found in rlib PostgreSQL. Let's see if we could get exact location of this user txt file with where is or locate or find. Not with where is. Let's try locate. No, and let's try with find. And we lost the connection once again. I'll start from the new terminal tab and rerun this set of commands. So let's jump to directories up to PostgreSQL and find the flag over there. Great, that was as expected. Now we should try to escalate our privileges to get to the root flag. And this module on Hack the Box Academy Linux privilege escalation covers this part in detail. And in the meantime, we lost connection. I'll redo this part in the background and continue from privilege escalation section. Let's now try to run sudo-l. And we don't have password for Postgres. Considering this dashboard ends with dashboard.php, let's try to find this name on the target instance. Let's try with find. Let's switch to this subdirectory. Let's list its contents. ls-l. And let's open dashboard.php file first. Here we notice this line with user Postgres and its password. So let's save this in our notes file. And at the beginning from nmap, we saw there were ports 21, 80, and 22 open. So let's try to SSH to Postgres using this password. Before that, let's verify the contents of cats. Also, before that, we would verify contents of etc passwd file to see if user Postgres is actually listed over there, and then we will try to SSH to it using this password. Considering I'm disconnected again, I'll redo this part in the background and proceed from here. I'm back now. Let's try to get out content of etc swd. And let's grep for user Postgres. Great, we see the user listed with shell bin bash. Let's proceed to SSH to the target instance using this user and the password we found a couple of minutes ago. Great, we successfully SSH'd into vaccine instance as Postgres user. And let's now proceed to run sudo l. We now can provide its password. And from here we see this Postgres user may run this v command to read this specific conf file as root user. So we have sudo privileges to edit this conf file using v by running sudo bin v, then full path of this conf file. We will go to gtfo bins to see if we can abuse this privilege. And we see for vi, we'll try with this command first. So we'll run v, then provide it with command bin sh. Let's verify what's our default shell and what shells are available in this system. If the binary is allowed to run as superuser by sudo, it does not drop the elevated privileges and may be used to access the file system, escalate, or maintain privileged access. So this is the command from gtfo bins. And we'll adjust it for our specific conf file. And full path for v in our case, which is bin vi. So we'll adjust this command with full path for vi, then specific conf file to read here, and then copy paste this part. Let's try with this. And this way we get a feedback. Sorry, user Postgres is not allowed to execute bin vi, then full path of this conf file, then -c, bin shell dev null as root on vaccine. And it's mentioned that there's also an alternative way according to gtfo bins. So first to open the file using vi, then set shell to bin sh, and then run con shell. So to open vi editor as the superuser, then we'll press colon button to set the instructions inside vi, and type set shell equals bin sh. Next, we will open the same instruction interface and type the following: :shell. And after we execute the instructions, we should see the sharp sign, after which we'll type "who am I?" We expect to see root. Now let's try with that. Let's stop with the walkthrough here. Let's get to this part. Let's try to open just this conf file using vi. Now let's type set shell bin sh. So from here, set shell equals bin sh, enter. Then shell, enter now, and we're dropped to root shell. Let's verify with who am I, and we are root, and root flag can be obtained from root directory. Let's switch to root directory. Great, getting out root flag worked. Now let's go through this task question. Task number 1, besides SSH and HTTP, what other service is hosted on this box? We saw that was FTP. Task 2, this service can be configured to allow login with any password for specific username. What is that username? That was the theme of one of the previous walkthroughs, meaning FTP and anonymous access. Task 3, what is the name of the file downloaded over this service? We downloaded the backup zip. Task 4, what script comes with the John the Ripper toolset and generates a hash from a password-protected zip archive in a format to allow for cracking attempts? We used zip2john. Task 5, what is the password for the admin user on the website? So after cracking the hash with hashcat, we got QWERTY789. Task 6, what option can be passed to SQL map to try to get command execution via the SQL injection? We used OS shell. Task 7, what program can the Postgres user run as root using SUDO? That's vi. And after submitting user flag characters and root.txt file characters, we can say we completed the box and we can terminate the target instance. That would be all for this video. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this one. Until next video, bye for now.